Hey guys, welcome to Last Movie Standing. It's February, and I finally get to talk about one of my favorite movies of all time. And I know I could have talked about this really at any time. This isn't really a movie that really you can pigeonhole into one time frame. Like, I could have talked about this in November for fall. Most famous scene in the movie takes place at fall. I could have talked about this at New Year's, because the movies basically can be a New Year's movie. I could have talked about this at Christmas. Just one of these movies where it takes place over years, you know? And we're talking about When Harry Met Sally, which I don't know if you knew this, but it has a 4K. It's a German 4K. It came out just a few years ago, I think. Maybe not last year, but the year before, I think. So it has a standard edition, and it had a media book, which I almost got the media book. And I didn't get my first media book until just recently, German media book, and I kind of wish I had had that, but I got the standard because it is in German, the title, so if I want to change that, I can easily, where with the media book, you can't as well. But it shocks me that When Harry Met Sally, probably anybody's top 3 romantic comedies of all time. It's definitely top 3 of mine, if not top 2. It's really this and You've Got Mail and Casablanca. Those are kind of my top 3. You know, Casablanca's not really a romantic comedy. I'm sidetracking here. It's crazy that this movie gets a Dolby Vision HDR transfer on a 100 gigabyte disc in Germany. And it's the only place it's available. And it's been like that for a couple years. It's not available in the US, the UK, France. Baffles me. It's one thing I love about importing. Sometimes other countries get the good stuff, you guys. They get the good stuff. But I want to talk about the Blu-ray today. And I'm gonna side by side it. Again, I'm not really gonna tell you which one is which on this. I just want you to see for yourself, because I think both look good. I think they both look amazing. Like, there's nothing wrong with this 50 gigabyte Blu-ray. Hey guys, editor Brian here. So I'm doing research, and I felt I really had to throw this info in as a disclaimer, because I didn't know this. Apparently Shout Factory released a Blu-ray just a few years ago, and based on Blu-ray.com, it is a 4K scan from the original camera negative, which I didn't know. I don't have that disc to compare it to. So my assumption is this 4K from Germany is a 4K scan from the original camera negative as well. Just put on a 100 gigabyte disc, given Dolby Vision, given HDR, given all the works. And that's what we're seeing here today. But I'm only comparing it to the 2011 Blu-ray, because that's what I have. Because I'm one of these people, I'm like, I have the Blu-ray, I'm not going to really double dip and get a Blu-ray to Blu-ray. But at the time, I also didn't know that the Shout Factory was a 4K scan of the original negative. Which makes me think that maybe one day Shout will re-release this as a 4K. Maybe. But I just wanted to throw that out there. But before I get started with the side-by-sides, I want to add a very tiny disclaimer to this. I'm trying something new here. I'm trying to just take the data off the disc and put it into the computer. Where before I was just filming the TV off a very high-end cinema camera. This time I'm trying to take it directly from the disc. Because I get a lot of stuff like, well, your TV settings are off, you're watching it wrong, blah, blah, blah. So this is really direct from the disc. Now, that being said, it will look different on your TV. I'm saying that because TV settings, processing's different than just the disc. If you understand how that works. Like, if you have an OLED, if your TV settings are different, all that stuff come into factor. So the contrast may be a little different, the saturation levels may be different, but this comparison is directly from the disc to the computer, not recorded off the TV. And with that being said, let's start with this first scene, which is a side-by-side of a side-by-side. What? Yep. Which this this made me giggle so hard when I saw this, when I recognized this. You know, because, you know, I've seen this movie well over 100 times through my life. It's an annual watch multiple times a year. Love this movie. But there's a scene where they're split screen and they're talking, right? And they're watching the same movie at the same time on the same channel, and it looks totally different, which just proves the point with side by side that all our TVs are different, which I just found really fascinating, because this is 1989. Is it 1989? It's 1989, and there was not a lot of channels back then. I was alive back then, but I was 2, so I don't remember anything. But I thought it was hilarious that they even be like, so what channel are you watching it on? And you can see the difference in the contrast just in the TVs. They look like they're watching 2 different movies, but they're watching the same movie. I mean, it's subtle difference. That's what I mean. This may look different on your TV. Here's proof. It's been that way forever. But I just want to talk about the movie. I'm not really going to go too deep into side-by-side comparisons. I might, because I don't really want to tell you which one's which. I just want you to just make your own decision, because 90% of you are not going to import this from Germany. I know that. I know the audience that well based off the comments. But it's more of like this whole, do these kind of movies need 4K? I think every movie would look great on 4K. Sometimes it benefits from it, and sometimes it's just kind of like, meh. Like the Kill Bill. I haven't done a Kill Bill video yet, and just because I've been slacking on it, but there's really not that big of a difference. It's small. It's there, but it's not there. Small. Here, I think there's a difference. For better or worse, I'm going to leave it up to you. I've shown people side-by-sides, and they've been like, I like the Blu-ray colors better. I'm like, me too, sometimes. But then when I watch it on the TV, I'm just like, I like the skin tones a little better on the 4K. Personally, I think the saturation level is healthy and good on the 4K. I think sometimes some people may be off-put by the saturation of the 4K. I'm kind of telling you which one's which right now, you know. Screw it. Here's which one's which. I don't even care. They're subtle enough for you to know. Top is 4K, bottom is Blu-ray. I cracked under pressure, because I want to talk about it. And I can't really do that with this without, like, it's a little bit, to me it's obvious, but to some people it may not be. Like I said, sometimes the differences are subtler, and sometimes they're not. Like, let's go to the most iconic scene in the movie. The fall scene. Which is, if you think about it, it's only like maybe a minute long or 2 minutes long. It's very small. But the difference with the 4K and the Blu-ray, when you get the wide shots, it's somewhat noticeable. The colors pop a little bit more, but when you get to the close-ups, like right here, you can see more color variations in the skin tones, in the lips, in the cheeks. It just feels like it has a little bit more color, to me, personally. But like I said, I like them both. And I'm keeping both of them just because the 4K didn't come with the Blu-ray, and I think this is a great disc, so I'm going to keep them both in the same. I'm going to get a new case, obviously. But even, like, look at this wide scene from the windows. Look how much the fall colors just pop a little bit more. And here's the thing, I don't have an OLED yet. So if I had an OLED, shit, get out of here. Those would probably pop a lot more than what I'm saying in general. But when you see a movie, like, as many times as I've seen this one, or just want some of your favorite movies, it doesn't matter what it looks like. You're watching the movie. You know, especially if you just, like, I'm showing you side by side, then if I pause it and have you, like, look at it, like, really look at it, you're going to look at it different, but that's not how we watch movies. Just put the Blu-ray in and be like, I'm not going to tell you which one, I'm not going to tell you what I put in, just watch the movie. Same with, like, a DVD. But this scene I really like, because this is the scene where they're playing baseball. You can really see the green kind of pop a little bit. A little bit more on the 4K, just the colors. Just it's like I said, it's like a smidge uptick. Now anything with 4K, you're gonna get upticks and sharpness is definitely more obvious. But I think the Blu-ray is really sharp. And one thing I noticed when I was looking at this, I was like, is the Blu-ray over sharp? Sometimes Blu-rays have that thing where they have like it looks over sharp, but that could be a player thing. I don't know. I'm gonna do a test really soon on playing movies on different players to see if how the player affects the movie. You know, and even watching stuff on TV, like I've watched, what was it? It was my Inglourious Basterds video. So I'm watching it on my computer where I'm editing it, and I watch it on the TV, and I'm like, oh wow, the Arrow version looks so much better on this TV. But then I look at the computer, and I'm like, I don't see a difference. It's all in how we watch stuff, you know. Let's go to the most iconic scene in the movie. Now, I said it was this scene. This is not the most iconic scene. It's the most iconic screenshot. The most iconic scene is the diner scene. We all know it. We've seen it. We all know it. And it just... I don't know. This is kind of a standout for me on 4K, the diner scene. I think the colors just look better. I hate saying that, but they do to me. I see the difference. I don't think the Blu-ray looks bad. I think they both look really good. But seeing that, I was gonna say sharpness. Seeing that saturation boost just a little bit. Like I like that tungsten look. Now I'm saying tungsten. If you don't know what tungsten is more that orangey warm look to it that films had. Where Blu-ray. It's part of the name, Blu-ray, because it's made with a blue laser, but it gives it a bluer tint to a lot of things. Where the one thing I really like about 4K and what it does is it brings warmth back into an image. It brings that tungsten feel, because back in these days, they would film everything with tungsten. Like how we have daylight balance stuff, that was just HDMI lights. That was not just like LED lights, how we can easily change the colors. Like your light right now that you have from Amazon, you can do it at daylight, at tungsten, you can do anything. Back then, they didn't really have that option. So I think it's nice seeing these warmer colors, because that's how it would have looked back then, especially on film in 1989. I do not know if this is a 4K restoration. It does not say. I cannot confirm. I don't know if this is a new color grade. But I can say this scene, to me, kind of stands out, where you can really see a difference, depending on your setup. Like I said, you could see something completely different than what I'm saying. Just a fun fact to get away from the side-by-sides. The old woman sitting next to her, the one who's like, I'll have what she's having, that's the director's mom, which I think is absolutely hilarious, that he put his mom in the movie in that scene and gave her that line, which was probably improv. And can you imagine filming your mom saying that? It's crazy. And the one thing I really love about this movie that I don't think people really do anymore, they kind of, it depends on what you watch, but the testimonials with the old people, I think that's clever storytelling. And I think that was real people that they brought in, real old couples. And then at the very end, you see Harry and Sally in the chair talking, which I think is really cool and really unique. And I think the colors just look really good. I think the warmness, the saturation, I think it looked good. But like I said, to some people, it may be too saturated. And I totally understand that. I showed some side-by-sides to friends, and they kind of sided with the Blu-ray. I like the 4K. I like them both. It took me a second the first time I watched it. And when I put it in my PlayStation 5, I was not that impressed. And then when I put it in a proper 4K player that I got for Black Friday, ooh, I saw a difference. And I know when I get a Dolby Vision TV, I'll see a difference too. This recording is playing off Dolby Vision. I will say that. I don't know if I disclaimer that at the beginning, but the 4K of this is set, the setting is on Dolby Vision on. because my Sony player, you have to turn Dolby Vision on and off. I don't have I have the Sony 7XM2 700 something. I don't even remember, but you have to turn the Dolby Vision on and off on the thing. So it is on that. So the colors may look a little bit more or less depending. Because Dolby Vision and HDR are different. If you know 4K, you know there's a difference between them. It's subtle, but there's a difference. I'm still on the fence if I like Dolby Vision or not. But yeah, so those are side by sides for the Blu-ray and the 4K. Does it matter what you get? No. Are most of you gonna end up getting this on 4K? Probably not. But I just wanted to throw it out that there are movies out there of not just action movies, not just big, huge blockbuster movies that are on 4K. You know, we get stuff like from TerrorVision and Synapse, like horror movies that are just these schlocky, I keep saying schlocky, like B-movie horror. Like, we got Rumpelstiltskin on 4K. We're getting all these crazy, like, horror movies coming to 4K. And people are like, what? Like, you would think we're just stuck on VHS. So why can't we get, like, romantic comedies? Like, these kind of movies that are just dialogue-based. They don't need to be big spectacles. You know, I think Tarantino movies look amazing. I think Pulp Fiction looks amazing on 4K. And half that movie is just people talking. This whole movie is just people talking. You know, but it's just the scenery in the New York and the film stock and it's one of the greatest love stories to me ever made. And I feel like Meg Ryan was like the queen of that, because she had Harry and Sally, Sleepless in Seattle, You've Got Mail, Joe and the Volcano, you know, but when it comes to Meg Ryan and romantic comedies, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with that. But I just wanted to finally make this video to talk about When Harry Met Sally. When it comes to movies, when it comes to romantic comedies and Valentine's Day, I think you can't go wrong watching Harry Met Sally. Like I said, any time of the year. I watch this for Thanksgiving in November. I watch it on New Year's. This is my New Year's movie, and I'm watching it for Valentine's Day. Maybe that says more about me than anything else, but it's one of my favorite movies ever. And if you're interested in the 4K, I recommend it. But at the same time, your Blu-ray's 100% fine. Because I know most of y'all aren't going to get this. But I hope it does get a copy here in the States. I really do. I think holding movies hostage overseas, it's a licensing thing. It really is. This is MGM. And I think, does Fox own this? Hold on. Does Fox distribute this? I saw something on, 20th Century Fox is on the back of this. Now, this is an MGM movie, so I don't know what the Fox rights would be. I don't know if Fox owns the U.S. distribution rights with it. If that's the case, Sony needs to do something, but I don't really know. But there is a Fox logo on the back of that, which means Disney has control over it. Some part of this in the United States. Just throwing that out there. But the 4K is Cape Light. I know a lot of, I didn't mention that before. Cape Light. I have a bunch of Cape Light Blu-rays and 4Ks from Germany, and they do fantastic. I think they're probably the best boutique label out there that nobody talks about is Cape Light. And like I said, 100 gigabyte disc, Dolby Vision, HDR10. Looks great to me. But what do you guys think?